Hi guys, so in today's video we'll talk about workout splits and how to choose your workout split based on how many days you work out and what workout split would be the best for you. So first of all, most people are very overwhelmed and they don't know what workout split to choose and they don't know what splits work and what criteria they should have. And that's why in today's video I'll teach you how to choose your splits, like I said, based on how many days you can work out. So to know what split should work and what doesn't, we first have to have criteria for a good workout split. So, first thing, every muscle has to be trained twice a week, except legs in my opinion, simply because I think that as a guy you don't need to have your legs that big. I think it's fine if you only train them once a week, they will still grow a little, right? They're still gonna grow. However, not at that rapid pace. Second one, there has to be at least 48 hours of rest for one muscle group. There have to be, yeah, okay, sorry, I wrote this down wrong. But basically, 48 hours of rest for one muscle group. So basically, if you train chest, if you train push, let's say chest, triceps, shoulders on Monday, you can't train the same thing next day. You have to wait at least until Wednesday to train it, right? The split must fit your personal schedule. So please don't try to force yourself to work out four or five times a week if you know you can't sustain it for long. If you have school until late hours, if you have work, if you have something else that you have to take care of, and you know that you can't work out that often, it's better to work out 3 times a week, but do it consistently over a long period of time than trying to force yourself to work out 5 times a week, but knowing that you have to cram your sessions in between and it's not going to be very comfortable and you're simply going to quit after a certain period, right? And the last one is the split has to be enjoyable for you to be able to stick to it long term. This might even be the most important thing. A split can be as optimal as you want, but if you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be consistent with it and you might actually you might actually quit, and yeah, that's obviously what we don't want because we want long-term results, right? So, quick interruption guys, if you didn't already know, I actually have an online program. It's called Skinny to Jacked Academy. And it's my online community where I teach skinny men how to build muscle efficiently without much equipment and time. And in my program we stick to the basics and I actually focus on what works and what has worked for me, as you can see. And by joining you'll have access to lots of things like one weekly one-on-one coaching call with me where we will discuss your progress, your routines, etc. Also, you can ask me any kind of questions, I'll help you out, no problem. You're gonna get a personalized workout routine and split based on your specific schedule. I'm gonna make this personally for you. Basically, you're gonna show me your schedule and I will craft a split and routine that works for you. It does not matter even if you have twice a week, 20 minutes, it doesn't matter. We can make something work. Also, you're gonna have a forum where you can ask any sort of question and you're gonna get it answered very quickly. I promise that. You also have PDFs with sample stuff like recipes for gaining muscle and example workouts for your level of equipment. Basically, if you train at home with no equipment, if you have a fully equipped gym, or if you have everything, right? So let's get back to the video. So, frequency. There has been a lot of debates about frequency and what frequency is the best for muscle growth, and I'll break that down for you right now, right? So, going from once a week per muscle group to twice a week per muscle group is a massive improvement in gains. That will give you a very big improvement when it comes to how fast the muscle is going to grow, right? However, going from twice a week to 3 times a week is not really noticeable, right? So if the volume is equal, like the amount of sets that you do per week, right? If it's equal, the difference in growth is not that noticeable, right? And it will be like a 4% difference or whatever. However, long term, it doesn't really matter. The only thing with 3 times a week per muscle group is you have better neural adaptation for the lifts that you're doing, for the exercise that you're doing. Your brain has neurons and obviously they adapt better. So you might get stronger at the exercise faster and easier, right? So you might end up progressing weight more easy and faster, and you might be able to do more reps faster, which obviously is indirectly going to lead to better growth. However, I'm going to be honest with you, it still doesn't matter that much. Training a muscle group 2 times a week is fine. If you can obviously you could do 3 times. However, if it doesn't fit your personal schedule, then you can't do it. Very simply, but it has to be at least 2 times. This is not good, except obviously for legs. For legs, it doesn't really matter, because if you watch this, I assume you're a guy, and your main goal is to build an aesthetic physique, and simply that is an upper body focused physique, right? So let's start. Splits for 2 days a week. So you have more options. Option 1 would be you do full body twice a week. The pros are lots of recovery, easy split to understand, you don't have to split any muscles up, you just train your whole body in one session, and it's great for beginners. The cons are you might have a long time between sessions, and that could decrease the muscle building rate. I'll give you an example right now. Let's say you can do full body on Monday, and then you can only do full body on Saturday. That are 4 days. Honestly, that's not ideal. If you have to do it like this, do it. However, it's not ideal. So that's one of the cons. The second one is the cons. The second con is the sessions have to be a little longer to hit your weekly volume target. Weekly volume target to grow your muscle optimally is very simply 8 to 12 sets, hard sets to failure for one muscle group. So basically, per muscle group, you want to have 8 to 12 sets a week. And then your sessions will have to be a little longer because you're hitting whole body and you will be maybe doing more sets. So there will have to be about 1 hour and 20 minutes at least. Yeah, that's the only con. And also, you have very little room for isolation. So for example, if you don't want your session to drag on to infinity, you can't really train arms. You can't really isolate arms or side delts or whatever you like. So the option 2 would be full body once a week and upper body once a week. It's basically the same thing, except you only have to train legs once. But it's basically the same. Next one. I like to call this the weekend warriors, right? So basically, this is something where you can only work out 2 consecutive days a week. So you can only work out on, example, wait, let me find it. You can only work out on Saturday and Sunday. Not gonna lie, this is very bad. So please try everything in your power to not be in this category. Simply because if you are in this category, you're only gonna hit a muscle once a week. And that is not ideal for growth. You will still grow, but you will need more volume, longer sessions, and you will go slower. So the main thing that I would recommend you in this situation is one day you do push and quads, and the other day you do pull and hamstrings. You only have each muscle once a week. However, with your situation, you just have to try and work the best with it. I mean, you can't do full body twice in a row. That might be even worse. So just do this. But like I said, please try everything to not be in this category, right? Next one. 3 days a week. So option 1 is you would have full body 3 times a week. It's a simple split, not too complicated. You have an amazing training frequency of 3 times a week. Your sessions don't have to be long as twice a week. You have lots of recovery, and it's amazing for beginners because it's easy to understand. You don't have to split, don't really have to split it up by muscles and whatever. You can very easily, yeah, it's an easy split to remember, very simply. So the cons are, again, very little isolation without your sessions being too long, and you can't hit your body from every plane of motion without the sessions being too long, right? So you can't like train from every angle and whatever. Option 2 for 3 times a week would be upper body twice a week and lower body once a week, right? So this is amazing if you have 3 consecutive days. Let's go back to the calendar. Let's say you only have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What you could do is you could do upper body. No. Then you could do lower body and upper body again, right? If you have 3 consecutive days a week, then this is probably the best split to choose. Cons again, very little isolation without your upper body session being way too long. Yeah, like I said, upper body sessions could become too long. So, next one, upper body twice a week, full body once a week. This is basically the same thing like as here, except that you're training your upper body 3 times a week, because you obviously add the full body. And the legs will also be enough. So the full body sessions could last a little longer in order for you to hit the volume goal for your legs. However, with this you won't be able to work out 3 consecutive days a week. So this is split, for example, what you could do with the split is very simply, you have, I don't know, upper body, full body. This would work, right? Wait, let's actually take this image and put it down so we can work with it better. Right? Next one. Push once a week, pull once a week, and full body once a week. So the pros are you have a separate push and pull day, and you can hit your push and pulling motions from every plane of motion without wasting too much time. And separate push and pull days are actually very fun, in my opinion, right? Could not be for you, but in my opinion it's very fun. The cons are cons are basically the same as last one. The full body session could last longer because you hit the weekly volume goal for the legs. An example for this would be you do full body, you do push, pull, right? Next one, push in quads, pull in hamstrings, and full body. This is basically the same as here. The only difference is you're training your legs more. Or what you can also choose is you can train your legs only at those days and skip and change the full body into an upper body. So then you have no separate leg day, which if you don't like one, is better for you. You have one separate focused push and pull day. Like with the last one, you can hit the body from every plane of motion without too much time. And RDLs tie great into back and pull day, in my opinion, simply because it's a pulling motion from the ground, and you have lots of erector and trap engagement. Though the cons are, your leg wall workout quality might suffer if you put it at the end of push-pull day, if you care about that, and your leg sets could drag on session time, and that could not be ideal for you, right? So, I'm simply going to move this image, guys, sorry. Next one, workout splits for 4 days a week. Here also you have quite a few options. So you have push in quads twice a week and pull in hamstrings twice a week. So this is great if you don't want a separate leg day. You don't need many sets for legs at the end simply because you're doing it twice a week. You have separate focused push and pull day, and again RDLs tie great into back day. However, the leg workout quality might suffer because if you put it at the end. However, if you care about that, some of you don't. Right, so I personally don't. So this is also great if you have 4 consecutive days. Let's say you can only work out Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday because you have something going on here. I don't know. So in this case you would do push, pull, push, pull. Sorry for my writing, but you get the point. And here you do the same thing. Next one, upper body 3 times a week and lower body 3 times a week. So the frequency for upper body is very high, so you're going to be able to progress in lifts maybe faster because of your neuroadaptation. Also, you only need very little sets, most likely only 2 per exercise. Yeah, to hit your optimal weekly volume for upper body muscles. And you have a separate leg day. Some of you might not like that. That's probably the only con. So for upper body 3 times a week, you could do, I don't know, upper body, and you can do legs on Sunday or whatever. Depends on your schedule. Next one, push-pull legs, upper body. So this is great if you have, let's say you can work out on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then, so you have 3 consecutive days, and then you have one other random day in the week, which is not Thursday. Let's say you have Tuesday. Then Tuesday you would do full body. No, upper body, excuse me. You could also do full body if you want to train legs twice a week, right? But I recommend just doing upper body because, in my opinion, once a week is actually enough for the legs to be able to grow correctly. So, you have a separate focus push and pull day, which is in my opinion very fun. You can hit the body from every angle. However, con again, you have a separate leg day. Some of you might not like that. But frequency is there, fun is there, my opinion, great split. Last one, upper body twice a week, lower body twice a week. So this allows for a greater lower body focus if it's because you're training legs twice a week and you have separate leg sessions twice a week, so you can really hammer your legs. This is good if you're an athlete who's trying to improve performance. For example, you're a basketball player, a soccer player, or whatever, and you're training mainly for strength and performance and not to look good. However, in my opinion, for most guys, especially if you're watching this video, I assume that you're watching this because you want to build an aesthetic body and not because you're an athlete who's trying to improve his performance. Training your lower body, lower legs twice a week is kind of unnecessary. You could do something else at that session or skip it entirely. So unless you really care about your legs, just use a different split. Honestly. So next one, we would have 5 days a week. Now for 5 days a week you have two main options. You have push-pull legs, push-pull. Separate focus push and pull days. You can hit your body with every plane of motion. Very fun split in my opinion. Your sessions also won't be too long because you don't have to do that many. Since you're doing it twice a week, you won't have to do that many sets. The only con here is if you want to train legs twice a week. That's the only con. If you don't want this, there basically are no cons. Then this might then actually be the best split for 5 days a week, because there are actually only two options for 5 days a week, so depends on. Technically you could also do push-pull legs and upper lower, but I didn't include that simply because the next split is better in my opinion. So if you want your legs to train twice a week and you have 5 days a week, I would actually recommend you to do upper body 3 times a week and lower body twice a week. Because your upper body then gets a very high frequency, and it also allows for amazing lower body focus simply because you're training legs twice a week instead of once. Like I said, cons for most guys twice a week is unnecessary if you're trying to build a aesthetic body, so technically you could just leave that session out and you would be fine. So you could also just do upper body 3 times a week and lower body once a week and you would be good. You can use that day as an active rest day or whatever. Next one, working out 6 days a week. Just don't do it. I'm sorry, but in my opinion, for a natural, working out 6 days a week is just too much. You're not going to be, in most cases, you're not going to be able to do it. Unless your nutrition timing, your sleep, your cardio and whatever are exactly optimized so that then you can do this. But generally speaking, don't work out 6 days a week. I assume that most of you also have a job or school or uni and you aren't unemployed and bodybuilding isn't your only let's just say your only thing you do in life. Yeah, so if you still want to do it for some reason, make yourself a split with the things I already gave you. But working out 6 days a week, I think there's basically only one viable split. That would be push-pull legs, rest, push-pull legs. In my opinion, unnecessary. 6 times a week too much for a natural, but obviously it's on you. In my opinion, don't do this, right? So then you have other splits. What I like to call circular splits. Basically splits that don't have a fixed weekday for training days and rest days. They continue no matter what days it is. So these splits are amazing if you have a fixed work schedule. Let's say your work ends every single day at the exact time at 4 p.m. for example, and you don't have a preference for what days you want to work out and what days you want to rest. So let's say that basically every day is the same in you. for you and you don't really have any other activities and you don't have any other appointments that you need to follow, right? Then this would be very optimal. So the perfect example would be full body every other day. This is a split where you, wait, let's get this here again. A split where you train full body, take a rest day, full body, full body, full body. However, next week then you don't start on Monday, then you start on Tuesday because you're taking a rest day, full body, full body. I think you guys get it. Basically, you train full body, you take 48 hours of rest, like one day basically, then you train full body again, and then you just repeat this process to infinity. So, this is an amazing frequency, 3 to 4 times a week. Your neural adaptation is gonna be amazing, and you're really gonna get better at the exercise quite quickly. You have amazing recovery, because 48 hours for every single muscle group. You have to do very little sets to get optimal weekly volume, and in theory, this is the most optimal split. So I've been doing this split for a very long time, and I can tell you the only con is that the sessions are going to be a little longer, so about 1 hour and 15 minutes. However, what you could also do is, you could basically do the same thing, but except full body, you do upper body every second day, and then you squeeze in like one leg day on Tuesday or whatever, or next week then on Wednesday. You kind of put leg days sort of in between. If you're like me and you don't care about legs too much, right? Then this is the best split. However, like I said, these splits only work if you have a fixed work schedule, or you have a time where you don't work, or you don't go to university for, let's say, 3 months, and you have free time and you don't really have a preference of what day you want to train and not. Then this is amazing. Another one would be push and quads, pull and hamstrings, basically anterior posterior, and then you do rest and repeat. We already talked about push and quads and pull and hamstrings. Basically you would do push and quads, pull and hamstrings, rest, push and quads, pull and hamstrings, rest, and then you would, yeah, repeat the cycle basically. These splits are very optimal simply because your body naturally doesn't work as a clock. So your body doesn't, it has an internal clock, but the internal clock is not scheduled on weekdays. Your body doesn't know what a week is. That's something that humans made up. So basically, if you want to train the most optimal that you can, these sort of circular splits would be the best option. If they're fun for you. If they're not fun for you, then obviously pick the other one. So we're gonna come to the end now. Conclusion. So if you have fixed days you can work out, choose one of the splits which you spoke about for each days of the week you can work out. I basically gave you a full outline with all the main options. Technically, I think there might also be some other options for the days, however, the video would go to infinity if I would talk about all of them, and you would most likely get bored and just click off. So, I present you the main options, choose one of those, and also make sure the split fits your schedule so it's actually sustainable for you. Next one, if you could theoretically work out every day and fixed days don't really matter, when you rest, when you work out, then try a circular split. You can try it, see if you like it. If you don't like it, just use one of the fixed splits. And the last one, the most important one, right? This is the most important thing for choosing your workout split. Make sure it's fun and sustainable for you. What might work for someone else might not work for you, simply because of your schedule and because of what you like and what you don't like. Let's say that some people say that you can work out 3 times a week, and full body would be the most optimal thing because you're training 3 times a week. However, if you don't like full body and you want to do something else, then go and do something else. The most important thing, that the split is fun for you, so that you can progress faster and that you can progress consistently. This is the most important thing. Consistency always beats any kind of motivation beats motivation. So be consistent with make sure it's fun and consistent to your schedule. So that's it for today's video. Also, drop a like, leave a comment, and tell me what other topics I should make videos about. Do you have any specific requests on what I should do? So, with that being said, See you next time. Bye.